Turn this thing on yet? I can tell. I don't feel that vibration in my chest. I was trying out some jokes on Carol this evening to see if she would laugh. If I can get her to laugh, I can probably get you to laugh. She's always crying because I have to be around. Just kidding. But I saw this one, it's really small print here. I didn't even stick to my own dictates of 16 font. But I thought it was a good one. When you stop believing in Santa Claus is when you start receiving clothes for Christmas. I told Santa you were good this year, and he hasn't stopped laughing since. Yep. A guy bought his wife a beautiful diamond ring for Christmas. After hearing about this extravagant gift, a friend said, "I thought she wanted one of them sporty four-wheel drive machines." "She did," he replied, "but where can I find a fake Jeep?" I think that's enough of those. Well, Gavin, come on. You can't, I can't believe that you wouldn't laugh at least once.
And don't make fun of Gavin, it's his birthday.
Well, I can because it's just part of life with me. To you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gavin. Happy birthday to you. Now it's feeling really corny, ain't you? If you would turn to Isaiah chapter 9, verses 6 and 7 for those that, and then we'll move to a different chapter in Isaiah for a little while this evening. Some years back I went to a program with my family called The Miracle of Christmas. And there was this song that they did. It was called In the Shadow of a Cross. And it was set at Christmas time. And made a lasting impression upon my life as I thought about the reason that Jesus came. And here in Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 6, we have this announcement in the Old Testament of one that is to come. For unto us a child is born, unto us the Son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace. And we see all these names up there of what he's to be called. We just sang songs a few moments ago about different names of Jesus, Emmanuel, and things like that, and Jesus, and all these different names come to mind about what he is, and it speaks of his attributes. And as we look at each one of those, even in this verse, he's called wonderful. That's not a bad term. I like when my wife said, you're wonderful. That feels really good. When we say a counselor, that's someone who's wise and can give advice. And so if someone calls us a good counselor, we're happy about that. The next one, we're just going to have to skip over as far as ourselves. Nobody is called the Mighty God here. And then the Everlasting Father. I keep telling everyone I'm the Ancient of Days because they see me every once in a while, and I haven't seen you for a while. And I said, well, I'm going to be around for a while. I'm everlasting. But then the Prince of Peace. So as we have these names of what Jesus is going to be called, all these different things in our life, and we can all put them all in our life. He is wonderful in our life, isn't he? I mean, I got to rejoice with someone this morning about the wonderful grace of Jesus Christ and what He did for both of us and for someone that has passed on. And we talked about the lineage of our families and the ones that had already went on before us, and we will see again, because that's wonderful because of His wonderful grace to us. And then as a counselor of knowledge to us and to teach us and to train us of all the things that we need to really know in this life. Do we really think about that name? I don't really think we do give it enough consideration that He is our counselor. That He has given us so much information and knowledge on how to live this life. It's in the book. It's in the Word. It's in Him. It's an inherent trait of His that He is the counselor of our life, that He can give us good counsel. Every time He gives us counsel, it is good counsel. We don't have to say, well, maybe. Do you ever say to God, well, maybe? Well, we may think about it, but really we don't have to, because He is the ultimate counselor. He never gives bad advice, because even I can give bad advice about things, because I don't know everything, because it builds right up to it. I'm not God, and He is. He's God. When we fail to realize that sometimes as we build on this, that He's so wonderful because He's a good counselor and He's the mighty God. And we view life in these terms of how we live, in time and tragedy and triumph and all the things happening in our life, and we can't see past tomorrow. We couldn't see past today. As I went to a place today, I was hoping that God would come before I had to go there. I really was. It's a job that when I went to look at it and then I had to order some stuff, I was hoping that everything will work out okay. And as I came up to that day today and I went there, I wasn't feeling that great about having to show up there and what I found. But as I went, God has prepared the way in even our most minute things, the things that concern us. We need to realize that the mighty God is already there, and He's looking ahead, and He's going to get you to the appointed place that He wants for your life, if we trust Him. And that takes us back to those words being, He's wonderful, and if we listen to His counsel, then He is the mighty God in our life. And He's the everlasting Father, because we get to this point in our lives where we fail and falter, and He's everlasting. And to be an everlasting Father is to be one that is not one that skirts away from this responsibility of the child. Have any of us had perfect fathers? I was not the perfect father. There was times when I was not there for my children. It's hard to admit that. It is, isn't it? But there have been times in our life when we walked away and we weren't the everlasting Father, the one that was always going to be there every step of the way, leading and guiding. And so we have these names of Jesus, and then we come to the end of that verse, and it's the Prince of Peace. And we all want peace in our life, and yet this one is ordained to be the giver of peace. And as we hear all of these things He's bringing up there in verse 7 of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of the hosts will perform this. As we think about all these things that he is, and then what he's going to become, we get back to this point of seeing his grandeur and where he's elevated and so marvelous. Doesn't that paint the picture for you there? Is that not what you gather from reading those two verses of all these things it's going to be and how he is going to be? But before he can be all of these things, before he can be on the throne of David and have the kingdom and to order it and establish it with the judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever, until all that comes about, there's one other thing that he has to be, and I think this is where we need to be in our lives, especially at this time of the year, because we get these opportunities to express to people at this time of year that Christ came into this world. And I want to take our life and our time this evening to focus in on another aspect of Jesus Christ. It's found in Isaiah 53. Verse 1, who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, then is there no beauty that we should desire him. As we think about this, who hath believed our report of this one that we're going to describe, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up, being him before him a tender plant, and as a root out of the dry ground. He was brought into this world not to be all those things that we just spoke about, all the grandeur and things, but he was to be brought into this world to be a root and the dry ground. To have ever saw a plant that comes out of the ground in the dry? Yeah. If you have a potted plant and you don't water it, what does it do? It withers and it fades and its color fades. This is what Isaiah is speaking about with him. With the one that we just spoke about earlier. Same one. He says he's going to be a root in the dry ground. There's no comeliness in him. If you see a dead plant, you don't think it's pretty. Now we have some colorful plants here in front of us this evening, but if they were in real ground or real plants, they would be all yellow or brown and ugly and dead. And we would not say they're pretty or comely to look at, would we? We would probably throw them away. Yeah. And that's the picture that's being painted of Jesus Christ here. He's come into the world. He's a dry root. And he is grown up. And he hath no form or comeliness. And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire Him. When we first heard, how many first heard the gospel and got saved? Right off, boom. First time you heard it? No, not very many, really. When we first heard about it, what did it do? It was like that dry plant we're looking at. We turned and we said, that's not comely. That's not what I'm looking for in my life. We wanted to see Him as this Prince of Peace, this mighty God, someone that's a warrior, and that's what Israel was looking for, someone to relieve them of pain and suffering and domination. And that's what we want in our lives. But we don't understand that to get to that process, He came into the world to be this one that is not comely, or one that we should want to look on, or that we should believe what He had to say. And it's very offensive. That's the hard part about getting people to come from the Christmas picture to the real picture of Jesus Christ. And to see His uncomeliness, His plainness. Notice in verse 3 of Isaiah 53, He is despised and rejected of men. Yes, He is. He's a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from Him. He was despised, and we esteemed Him not. Would you esteem someone that was despised, rejected? We don't. No, we don't. The human flesh does not esteem anyone that is despised. Walk by somebody that's being despised. Do you go over there and lift them up? No, we don't. No, we don't. And so we have these two pictures of Jesus. And this one here is not good for the human flesh. And so what we need to do is to key in to people, to get them to see that what they see in the flesh is not reality. It's not reality. He was despised and rejected, the man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. We know all that stuff. We don't want any more of that. We want to get out of it, don't we? We don't want to have to suffer and go through things in this life. We want Him to come and be this mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. We want all that good stuff. We don't want to have to go through this life and the troubles and the trials. And we don't want someone to be around us that is that way. Do we? No, we were just joking a little while ago about stuff. We would rather have things light and happy in our lives. We don't want to have to go through grief and sorrow and suffering and pain. And we don't want to be around anybody that is. It's very difficult, isn't it? And so that's why He's despised and rejected of the world, because they see Him as He is there. Who hath believed us? Who hath seen what He really is? The world sees Him that way. And they want what He's going to be in their lives now. Because we are a society that cannot wait for good things. We must have them now, and we will pursue those things that please us. And that's why we, as a human and in the flesh, we will not pursue Jesus Christ. And therein lies the predicament, is to get people to see Jesus Christ as the high and lifted up, as the mighty God, as all these things that He was promised to be. But then when He came, He wasn't. Why? Why? And herein lies the secret. He came into this world under the shadow of the cross. He had to be despised and rejected. The man of sorrow and grief. He had to be the one in verse 4 that He hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did not esteem Him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But He was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon Him, and with His stripes we are healed. We don't understand that. Not in the human flesh. You don't think you don't get healed by getting whipped. You feel like you would get healed by getting whipped? That all we like sheep have gone astray, and we have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on Him the iniquity of us all. And we not see that because we're not looking at Him. I didn't want any of that. When I was growing up, I wanted all joyful things. Didn't we? We still do. We don't want to be despised and rejected and full of grief. And so we turn away from Him. And that's why the world turns away from Jesus Christ, because they want some great king, someone to show power, someone to give them everything they want right now. But they need to be shown that how you get to where He is going to be, you have to live under the shadow of the cross. And you have to be despised and rejected of men. And you have to be willing to bear sorrows and grief. And to know that because of His despisement and His rejection, He was called here to be the greatest thing that mankind can have. And what is that? One of His other names. Everyone needs a Savior. And the only way you get from Christmas and the birth of Christ and all of these magnificent names that He's going to be called, and He shall be called, it says. That's like a future thing. And He shall be called these things. But now He is the man of sorrow. And He is borne our griefs, and our iniquities were laid on Him. You see, we have to give Him all of His names, and when we talk to people, they have to understand that He's not only going to be these things, He is these other things, so that they may see that the greatest thing that they need is Him as Savior. For if we don't have Him as Savior, we will never know Him as the everlasting Father or the Prince of Peace. We will never know those things. We will never have peace. We will never have His counsel. We will never know how wonderful He is. We will never see the increase of His government, nor Him sitting on the throne of David. We will never know His judgments and the justice from henceforth and forevermore. The world will not know these things until they see Him as Savior, until they come under the shadow of the cross. As we look this evening at these things and these characteristics of Jesus Christ and all that we want from Him, Isaiah 9, 6, and 7 are really good, aren't they? As he speaks of what He is to become. But Isaiah 53, we would like to just skip over that part of Him, wouldn't we? But that's the truth of who He is right now. And it is the greatest attribute of Him, is that He is our Savior, and that He came at Christmas time to be this Savior. We cannot have the cross without Christmas. And we cannot have Christmas without the cross. Those two are entwined together because it speaks of our God and what He really is. All these fine and incredible attributes, but He's also the despised and rejected and the one that bore our iniquities. And the only way that we will truly know all of His names is that we come under the shadow of the cross. So as when you're talking with people at this time of the year, Christmas time, and all the joy and the things that happen in your lives and friends and family and all the things you get to go about, be sure to mention that this same one with all these nice names is also the bearer of our iniquities and the Savior of this world. Father, thank You for this time that we could be here in their house tonight. Thank You for Jesus, who was despised and rejected of men, of us,